Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Rupa and Company Limited Q4 and FY21 earnings conference call. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company, which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectation of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not the guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Vikash Agarwal, Promoter and President at Rupa and Company. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all and thank you for being with us today. First and foremost, I hope all of you are keeping safe and doing fine and your loved ones are good. I hope I'm audible, quite audible. Good enough. Today on the call I am joined by our CEO, Mr. Dinesh Kumar Lodha, and Mr. Diven Dhruva from Orient Capital, our investor relations partners. Friends, as we all know, financial year 21 has been a very difficult year for all of us. But in last 1 year, our company, your company Rupa, has given a stellar performance. And despite all the challenges during 2021, we have seen a record growth across all our key financial parameters, whether it is revenue, EBITDA or PAT. Just to share the numbers, revenue grew by 35% to rupees 1,313 crores from 974 crores. EBITDA grew by 126% to rupees 257 crores from 113 crores. PAT has grown 3 times from 62 crores to 175 crores, which is around 183%. And the company has been able to generate operating cash flow of rupees 211 crore. And year end we have a cash balance of 118 crore, which we tend to deploy in capital expenditure and other growing plans what the company has. The EBITDA margin has also seen a healthy improvement of 790 basis points, which stood at 19.6%. So from 12% we have grown to 19.6%. The return on capital employed stood at 30.8% from 18%. A stellar performance of 17% growth higher year on year. Return on equity stood at 26.8%. A stellar 1610 basis point higher year on year. Our company delivered record revenues and profitability on back of a strong volume growth, operational efficiencies, better product mix, and cost rationalization programs. And we are also happy to announce the Board of Directors have recommended a total dividend of ₹5 per equity share, including a special dividend of ₹2 per equity share as a mark of gratitude to our shareholders during this time of pandemic, which is 500% of face value for the financial year ended 31st March 2021. Going forward, we see a CAGR of at least 15 to 20% for next 3 years. Coming year, we also have an aggressive plan of growing at least by 15 to 20%. Internally, we target 20%, but we'll say anything between 15 to 20% because Q1 will be subdued because the challenges we all know about the second wave of pandemic. And in terms of EBITDA margin and all, we are quite confident. Although this year we had 20%, coming year and all, we should be able to maintain at least by 18 to 19%, and maybe higher. It all depends upon the market and other factors around. And with this, I would like to hand over the call to our CEO, Mr. Dinesh Kumar, who will take you through all the growth strategy and outlook for the coming year. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, Vikashji, and good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all keeping safe and healthy. Fiscal year 21 has been the highest ever revenue and most profitable year for Rupa and Company. So, the quality and durability, Rupa and its sub-brands are integrated across the hosiery value chain. The company enjoys top-of-the-mind recall across all segments and have earned the trust of millions of customers across the globe. In line with evolving consumer preference and market demand, the company has introduced a variety of new brands and sub-brands. These products have the latest fabric innovation, cutting-edge production techniques, and advanced design elements to give the finest experience of style and comfort to the end user. Rupa has a strong pan-India presence. Rupa enjoys a very solid position in East India and gained a significant presence in North, followed by West of India. One of the strategies we have to really get into new markets like South, as well as some of the weak market where we have a huge market is huge, where we have a huge opportunity to grow. We are building new distributor and building experienced team to further strengthen our share in those markets as well as existing markets. Currently, the company has about 1,200 plus dealers and presence have 1,25,000 retail outlets. This would lead to increased investment in brand development across new geography. During the year gone by, the company has spent 4.2% on brand development. This has reduced as there was no branding expenditure done. As you know, due to some of the COVID in the first half, there was a lower spend on advertisement. We expect the brand and advertisement come back to the normalcy of 6 to 7% this year. Rupa exports this product in Middle East countries like UAE, Saudi, Kuwait, Iraq, as well as in Algeria, Indonesia, Nigeria, Congo, many of the countries. And currently we are about 20 crores. The first 9 months we have a negative growth, but last quarter, Q4, we have a 17% growth. We expect our export to be doubling in 2 years, if not this year. Coming to growth strategy, the company is planning to scale up high margin revenue business, as Vikas just said, which include the brand like FCUK, Fruits and Loom and M-Series. The vision is to occupy the consumer mindscape in this category with the aspiration Indian consumer can have source style as well as discretionary taste. Our aim is to make premium innerwear based on comfort accessible to the consumer. The company is also reinforcing high growth segments like athleisure, women wear, thermal wear segment. Again, when I say athleisure, it includes the outerwear segment too. The company present in modern trade, having presences over 150 stores. Our strategy is to increase brand footprint across all brands, creating a special product line more relevant, more dedicated product actually to modern trade, improve our time and serviceability to avoid revenue loss. Future plan is to have presence through 300 counter in 2 years, which is doubling the counters what we have. The company is also opening EBOs. Currently we have our 11, by now it will be 13 EBOs, and the plan is to create a mid-size franchise store model. Our models are all franchise on. It is all own and spend the money by the franchise. And it has the best of the SOPs. We want to establish in the top 50 this model. And our plan is to have 150 outlets in 2 years' time. It is also present across all e-commerce sites, and future plan is to enhance brand visibility through increasing online presence. Coming to the current situation in our country, we are witnessing a second wave of COVID-19 infection, and this has once again resulted in disruption to our business, as several states have announced restrictions. Going forward, we expect business to start gaining traction and restriction is being lifted. One of the things we are seeing actually in the market that once last week onward, we are seeing emergence of demand once the COVID restriction has lifted. The company focus increased share in premium and super premium category, improve focus on women casual, thermal wear and foreign new market. With a higher penetration existing market, we expect our revenue to be higher than industry growth. And that's something we have done. You have seen this year also, and also coming next 2-3 years, we are seeing that we will be growing faster than the industry with our strategy in place. Coming to the financial, some of things has been covered by Vikasji. Our company reported strong growth for the quarter year ended 31st March 2021. Revenue quarter 4 is 454 against 179. EBITDA has been strong growth of 1000% plus with a 91 crore against the 8 crore in quarter 4. And similar growth has been seen in PAT also. On yearly performance, our revenue is 1313 crore, which is against 975 with a 35% growth. EBITDA has grown about 126%, and the PAT also has grown over 175 crore against 62 crore. I think the return on capital employed is 30.8%, which is a 17.10 basis point. Return on equity again has 16.1 basis point increase. Net debt, which has earlier 177, now it is 27, and we are a cash plus company now. Net debt, which is now equity, is 0.4x, reduced from 0.3x. Working capital has significant reduction from 219 days to 165 days. And going forward also, we will see some more improvement coming on that. So again, first of all, I want to thank you all. And with that, I will now open the floor for question and answer.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Shikha Mehta from Equity Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Congratulations on a good set of numbers. I just had a couple of questions. Could you explain the revenue structure with FC UK and Fruit of the Loom? So is it like a royalty structure and the exclusivity and stuff like that? Could you just explain the structure a bit?
So right now the royalty is payable for both the brand. The FC UK, as far as concerned, we have a 10-year contract with them. On a revenue number, we have about 33 crore approximately on the FC UK and FOTL. I think one of the things which we shared last time also, for us this year was the year to reset the business into profitable path. As you remember, you used to have a EBITDA loss of 10 crore, and this year, first time in history, in last 3-4 years, we have EBITDA positive. And going forward, now we are looking into the business in the right path in terms of what segment which we have chosen. We have taken call in the company to really focus on e-commerce and GT and not focus on LFS a lot. We are seeing a significant increase in our profitability. With the revenue base of 33, we are EBITDA positive now, and this year we are looking at significant growth in this segment with the set on the business.
Right, and our contract is for 10 years from now, right, with both of them?
So we have 10 years with FC UK and FOTL, we have a discussion to have similar.
Okay. Also, sir, you said that for exports, we're looking at doubling our exports this year or next year. Currently, our export base is quite low. So if you could give a guidance for, say, for the next 5 years, what kind of CAGR you see? Because even on doubling, it would not be very significant.
So the management expectation on export is to have 5x number in 5 years. But right now, we are giving a guidance that we will doubling the export number in 2 years. As you rightly said, the export number is just 21 crore. But I think the opportunity what we have, we will look forward to have this as a 5x growth in 5 years. But immediate basis, we are seeing a significant roadmap coming up to have increased our presence in Middle East. We are seeing a presence coming on Russia. So we are clearly see a good visibility. And with the right team in place, I think we'll be able to execute this.
Okay, so that sounds very positive. Thank you. So also, are we looking at inorganic growth? Are we looking at more acquisitions?
Definitely, I think this is something with a continuous effort. It is always we look for a good value as far acquisition is concerned. As and when we see a good opportunity, we will definitely target that.
Okay, so do we have any idea on like which segment we'd be looking at acquisitions, and also if you could give a peak debt number that you would expect?
We talked about earlier our growth engine, and I think the growth engine will be connected to these acquisitions, whether it is athleisure or on the premium segment. I think this will be connected with that. So clearly, women, athleisure, and premium, these are our growth engines, and we will look for that.
Right, and if you could just give a peak debt number or a debt to equity ratio which you would not want to cross even through your acquisitions and growth and all of that.
That means right now we are a cash plus company, so we should have internal accrual most of the money to have some acquisition. Yeah.
All right, sir. And so we said we want to grow at around 15 to 20% for next year. This is again in spite of Q1 being subdued due to COVID. So you would just give us some broad guidance on how the different segments will do and which segment would be growing, just ballpark figures.
So outerwear will be growing at faster pace than the innerwear to start with, as we're seeing a lockdown. Whenever lockdown gets, we open up the lockdown, we see emergence of the outerwear. So brand like Bumcham and M Series and all, we will be seeing some significant growth immediate basis. But as a year, we see that clearly we will be seeing a growth as per our strategy where we are focusing. So we will be seeing a good growth in thermal. We are going to see a good growth in the women's segment, and also we're seeing a good growth in athleisure. So with that, I think we should be able to grow what we have targeted. Though we have said subdued quarter, but as we are seeing right now, lockdown is opening up. We are seeing a good emergence of demand. So we should be capitalized on that in June to come back strongly in the quarter, and we will go for that. But I think the things will more and more get clear in a week's time as the emergence of lockdown opening up happening.
And also, could you tell us how much we did in thermal and in women for the year for FY21?
So thermal, we are about 120 to 125 crore right now, and we are looking to grow at 25% plus. Women is about 10%. Women is about 10% of our business. I think we should be looking to 30% growth in women's segment.
Okay. And also, could you also give us some guidance on the raw material pricing and how that would move for the years, if you have any?
So the gross margin remains as it is. We may have some improvement in gross margin, but we don't see whatever price the raw material has gone up, we able to pass on most of the things to the consumer, and overall it will not impact gross margin as such.
Do we have a lag in passing on the prices to the consumers?
What is that?
Do we have a lag of, say, a quarter or so in passing on the raw material?
Not much.
Okay. And last question from my end, sir. Could you give us a figure for the maintenance capex and if we have any other capex plans going forward?
Capex, normally we don't have a very high capex, as you know, this industry. As a standard, we spend about 20 to 40 crore in between for our regular capex. I think the more money will be required when we look for acquisition, and that's something will happen as and when we see a good opportunity. But on a regular basis, our capex will be between 20 to 40 crore.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhruv Kashyap from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Firstly, Mr. Lodha and Mr. Agarwal, heartiest congratulations for an absolutely exemplary performance from the company in such tough circumstances, and I personally like to thank you and your team on behalf of all the shareholders.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Coming to two specific questions, sir. The first is on the exports part, could you give some color on which kind of products or brands in which product categories to which countries, and where does the opportunity lie? So if you could just give some more granular insight into this next 5 years of exports.
Currently, at this point of time, our major export is in the innerwear, but as we go forward, we see opportunity in outerwear and athleisure. So clearly, I think there is a lot of opportunity, including Bangladesh and Africa, which is a significant opportunity we have, and we will go all out to tap those opportunities. As I said, export is still a very early stage. We are still not penetrate what we should have, and we see opportunity to grow this business 5x in 5 years' time. But as far as countries are concerned, as I said, Middle East, where we have a strong presence right now, we have a strong presence in Algeria, we have a strong presence in Russia, but we are seeing a significant now opportunity coming up, countries like Bangladesh, countries like deeper penetration in Russia and Singapore. So those opportunities which we are now tapping should give us a good momentum on export, and that should give us a huge opportunity to grow.
And the basic reason for this is the brand is already familiar there. Because of the satellite channels, people are aware about the brand.
I think one of the things we do is most of the export we do, it is our own brand, which help us to grow and has a loyalty for our product. We don't do that much of contract manufacturing. We have more focus on our own brand so that it has a loyal customer base for future.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. That gives a lot of clarity. The second question, sir, is that the premium segment, which is Fruit of the Loom and super premium FC UK, there's a lot of imagery and optics that also gets added by that segment, right? And there's a lot of action in terms of jockey, ABFRL, Van Heusen, etc. Can you just give us some sense or insights, again, a little more detailed in terms of how are we going to build FC UK and Fruit of the Loom to really become potentially as big brands as Jockey or Van Heusen or bigger?
Well, as you rightly said, there is a huge opportunity lying there for both these brands. But what we did this year, or I'll say last 15 months, is to really reset the business, as I said earlier. Just growing the business without profitable path does not make sense. So as a company, we decided to have the right focus in terms of segment and right team, and which is what we did in last 15 months, and that has resulted in terms of not top line, but focus on first to start the business set right, to have a profitability where EBITDA negative 10 crore now become EBITDA positive. And we are looking this to a PAT positive business, and we are right path now to take this business to next height, both on GT and e-commerce. E-commerce, we have significant focus now, and we are seeing that we will be doubling our e-commerce business in FCUK and FOTL. GT also now we are penetrating in other places. We have increased counters. But what I'm happy or I want to share with you, the business model which we need to correct it has been corrected now. And now this is a good way to take the growth path, and the auto profitability will be there.
Thanks. And so my last and final question is that if you could give some color on geographies of strength like Citadel and geographies where you are seeding and they're big markets where you aim to sort of gain potentially in times to come. So almost a Citadel making an entry but big market. So if you could give some color on where we are strong and need to defend and where we are going to become bigger in terms of market we are going to take on, let's say, a Page or a Lux or a TT or a Dollar or whatever else. So if you could give some geographical flavor to the Rupa current and potentially envisaged footprint.
Sure. I think we have shared most of the things in our presentation. But as you know, East is our big area where we are very strong, whether it is Bihar or Jharkhand or Odisha, we are pretty strong in eastern regions. I think where we have to focus or where we are focusing right now, within the north, we have a states where we may not be doing great. Give you example, UP we are doing good, but within the UP, Western UP is such a big market, we are not that great, and there is a huge opportunity to penetrate there. Same way, MP, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, in the western side, again, central India, again, opportunity lying for us, which is not a strong base for us. But there is no reason why we will not able to penetrate those markets with the right focus, right team, right distributor. So central India, some of the part of northern India and southern India will be big focus for us.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Lodha. And once again, hats off and thank you so much for what you guys have been doing. All the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shalini from Quantum Securities. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Fantastic results. So, sir, I just wanted a breakup of, wanted to understand how the various segments have grown during the quarter: economy, mid, premium, thermal, women's, athleisure.
So, in the year, I think it's good to talk about the complete year rather than talking about just a quarter. On a year basis, what we are seeing that we are seeing a good growth coming up in athleisure. We are seeing a good growth coming up on our premium like M3, where we are seeing a significant growth from last year. We are also seeing a good growth in our premium, our mid-premium brand like Frontline and Microman. So clearly we are seeing a good growth. Where we have not done well, the women segment still not done well because of the COVID restriction. As you know, more and more women, when they come out, will have more legging sales, we will have more other sales. So that is where we are seeing some drop in revenue this year, or not grown as per our expectation, I will say. But most of the other places we are seeing a good growth coming up. But within that, the highlights are outerwear and the premium segment.
Yeah, but sir, if you could please just put some numbers to economy segment for the year and or preferably for the quarter. But if you prefer to talk about for the year, if you can please give some numbers.
Sure. So on the value side, we are seeing a growth about 35 to 40%. Against the overall growth of 35%, we are seeing a value product like John, where we are growing at 40% plus. Thermal, we are growing about 21% plus. And on the mid-premium, we will be growing about 30% plus. And outerwear, where we are growing, as I said, Bumcham, which is our main premium outerwear brand, we are growing at 70%. So that is a significant growth. Just to give you a split little bit what you're asking for.
Yeah, and so thermals and athleisure specifically. Athleisure, if you could say how you're growing.
I just talked about Bumcham is where the main athleisure brands are, where we are growing at 70% this year. But going forward, we're expecting this to grow at 30% on top of this.
Okay. And thermals?
Yeah, thermals is 21%. This year, we are expecting 25% plus.
Okay. Then, sir, my next question, I just wanted to, the participant before me also asked that question in terms of growth coming in the premium segment, because the number of brands are increasing every day in the premium segment. You have ABFRL also now, and lots of these shops like they have introduced their own brands. Like your what is the name of that shop? Lots of people have introduced their own brands. So do you envisage a situation where there'll be EBITDA margins in that segment, in the premium segment, will come off? Is that what you can envisage?
Really, I think that will not going to impact much for us, because this is more to do with LFS, which is where the people have started their own brand on their own shops. But our focus is e-commerce and GT, where we don't see this much impact. In fact, we are seeing a significant growth opportunity in some of the markets for our premium brand like M Series, which is a 100 crore plus brand. We're expecting that brand to grow at 25% plus this year, with opportunity at many vacant or low, weak area for us where we are going to penetrate. So your question, as far as brands where people are creating their own brands, not going to impact much for us, because LFS is not something where we are playing very hard.
Okay. And if I look at the gross margins have gone up by about 300 bits year on year. So apart from taking price increases and product mix change, is it that you have taken lesser write-offs on inventory or anything like that?
No, I don't think gross margin we have any increase like 3% what you are talking. I'm not sure where you are getting this number.
Why year on year?
Yeah, so gross margin on a percentage basis, it will be same. And at growth which is coming up, it is more to do with percentage growth of revenue. The similar growth is coming in gross margin.
Okay. Sir, just one last question at my end. So John is basically an economy brand that you have, right?
That's right.
And that is growing how much, sir?
This year it is grown at 40% plus, and we are expecting this to grow about 16 to 17% going forward.
Okay. And so now we have, last year, that's financial year 21, we had a lot of growth coming from the rural areas. But this year we have a situation where the rural is not doing so well because of higher lockdowns in rural areas, higher base, and many other factors. So, do you see that impacting your growth going forward?
So I just said earlier, the first 2 months lockdown, definitely we have seen that impact. It is not just rural and urban, as you rightly said. Last lockdown, the impact was more on the urban and less on the rural. This time the impact is there both on rural and urban. But what we have seen in last 1 week, when the emergence of the lockdown opening happening, the demands are coming back in both the segments. So we are not seeing much of the challenge going forward. And though, as I said, there may be a subdued quarter, but being June still there, we feel that we will come back strongly to hit the number.
Okay. And volume growth in the quarter was how much?
The volume and value, there is a gap of about 2 to 2.5% on an average. So you can just predict whatever sales we are talking about, 2.5% value will be lesser.
Okay.
Just to add on your earlier point about rural demand, I think this year monsoon has been quite good so far, and it should be good as per the prediction. So rural demand should be quite robust again. If you talk about short-term April, May, I think they're different, but going forward, I think the demand should emerge very strong from rural again.
Okay. And the average selling price is 65 rupees?
Whether?
Average selling price.
Selling price, yeah, approximately about 50 or 70 in between, yeah.
Sorry, 50?
50 to 70. You are talking about the value segment, right?
Yeah, but 50 to 70 is like 50% difference, sir.
Yeah, but there is a product difference, so I cannot say 50 because I don't have one product. I have 17, 18 products in a similar range, so I don't think I can give you exact one price.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of growth would you be looking at here?
I just talked about that, right? That we will be growing at 15 to
20%. Okay. Okay, sir. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tanay Nanglani from Tusk Investment. Please go ahead.
Thanks a lot for the opportunity, sir. Congratulations for this awesome set of numbers. So I just had like 2 questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. So one question is, so like I've seen that the operating margins have increased. So and the yarn prices are also increasing for the past few months. So could you highlight where have we, got the opportunity to increase that operating margin difference?
We don't see that operating at a gross margin level where the cost of the material get reported. We don't see a significant increase either or decrease in the margin percentage. Whatever we will be seeing is a more volume which will be generating to have offset some of the increase in cost. And that's why, because when I said we are looking to have 18% plus EBITDA margin, and that is more operational benefit which we will get on the volume jump as well as some of the things which we are doing. But on a gross margin basis, on the material cost basis, it is not going to much impact.
Okay. Secondly, sir, could you also tell me that whether there has been any change in our market share and what is our market share right now as compared to other brands?
The industry has grown this year. If I take 4-5 listed companies, the industry has grown about 14 to 15%. Well, we will be taking 35%. So on an average basis, we will be taking shares from competition. But I will not able to give you a specific on which competition, what. I think that's something we need to check that out.
Okay, and what is our current market share, so if you could say?
So our current market will be about 15 to 16%.
Okay, so that's it from my side. All the best for the future. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jatin from Alpha Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thanks for the wonderful set of results. Sir, my first question would be, cotton and yarn, both prices have gone up. So have we taken any price hike in April or say May, or we are expecting only volume growth to help us for the coming year?
We have taken a hike in February and March, as every company has done. We have 3 hikes actually in Jan, Feb and March. I don't see any further increase on yarn or a price rise by us. I think we will be sustaining this price at this point of time, and as things emerge on the cost, we will be changing. But at this point of time, we are not changing anything further.
Sure, sir. And sir, on margins, it's not just advertisement expense that lowering of advertisement expense has helped us. There are lower employee expense as well as lower depreciation. So do you think these things will also continue at same rate in current year so that margins will kind of sustain at these 20% levels?
On a percentage basis, it will not be a significant increase, though will be increased in terms of what we give an increment and other stuff, which will be there, and we will be giving that to the team, as well as we will have some recruitment. On a percentage basis, there will be a very slightly increase in the employee cost.
Yes. And sir, in terms of growth, we have grown 35% this year, which was much better than all the other listed players. So is it something extra that we're doing? Is it geographical, or what would we call it? As in, why we have grown much better than the industry, and we are also guiding next year to be also better than industry. So, what are the key things do you think has changed in Rupa?
No, I think this is more to do with what we talked about, all our 6 strategy, which I talked about earlier also, whether it is expansion of geographical or expansion of our thermal business, high margin business, premium, or women segment. I think all that has kicked off. I will not say that we have done something which, this is just a kick-off of our initiative, and I think the result will come in years to come, and that's why we are very confident that we will be growing at 15% plus on a regular basis in the next 3 to 4 years. And we will take some share from others because we expect market to grow at 10% plus.
Sure, sir. Great to know. And sir, on working capital, we still have debtor days of over 100, so inventory also 100. Any plans to reduce on that front also?
We want to make sure that we have a good balanced approach and not trying to reduce to the extent where we have lose of opportunity of sales, because there is a lot of down cycles sometimes. So we will be balancing, but yeah, there is opportunity to reduce it further, but from 165 to maybe 150 days. But we will be balancing this. We will not be just trying to hard and to reduce so much that it can impact our sales.
Sure, sir. Great to know, sir. Thank you and all this.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vaishnavi Mandaria from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question. I missed the volume growth number that we gave for FY21.
So as I said, volume is about 2% lower than the value growth. And going forward also, we are seeing the similar trend where the value will be 2% higher than the volume.
Okay, got it. Also, what exactly has changed for us this year versus the last few years? Because if I look at our 2-year revenue figure on standalone basis from 18 to 20, let's say, we had a revenue degrowth versus reporting a 34-35% sort of a revenue growth in this year. So would you attribute this jump in revenue versus what historically we were reporting?
I mean, as I said, we have kicked off our initiatives on the new part where we have put 6 strategy, which we shared in our earlier earnings call, and we kicked off those strategy and we start seeing the momentum, whether it is a thermal wear where we have seen earlier sort of flattening number. Last 2 years we have seen thermal wear growing at 20% plus. Similar way we are seeing some growth coming up on the new geographical area where we are focusing right now. And same way we are seeing some growth coming up where on the outer wears or athleisure. So clearly, I think this is a very early stage of our strategy, which is going to give us result. But in years to come, I think as this strategy will mature, we will be seeing a further increase in sales.
Okay. Also, what exactly led to our working capital improvement in this year? As I see, I think our inventory days have come down substantially, right? From 170 odd days on sales to around 109. So what has led to our inventory days coming down?
I think the IT play a major role as we go forward, and we have invested a lot on IT technology. whether it is a demand generation in terms of based on demand, what type of product we have to produce. I think those initiatives, as I said, we have invested last year and we are investing this year big time on some of the technology. So those are going to help us into predicting right inventory level as well as production cycle, and that is helping on the inventory, which has reduced from 175 to 109 days. But in the same time, as I said earlier, we want to balance what we need for inventory without losing sales. So we will be making sure that we have a good balance where we don't lose out sales because of non-availability of inventory, because the loss will be much higher than what we will sell here. Having said that, I think there is a working opportunity in working capital to reduce further, which we are working on, and we expect 10% further reduction in working capital cycle.
Okay, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, I'd like to remind participants, please limit your question to 2 per participants only. You may rejoin the question queue if you have a follow-up. The next question is from the line of Devanshu Bansal from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and congrats on a good set of numbers. So my question, you indicated 3 price hikes during the quarter, and also the revenue mix has also been better with higher sort of athleisure sales. So still you indicated only a 2 to 2.5% difference between volume and value growth. So what are the reasons for this?
So it's a mix. It is not that only the product will increase, this product will increase. We will also see like a product like John also growing at 16 to 17%. So it is not that just the athleisure or the other will grow. It's a mix of all. We may get 2%, as I said, 2% may become 3%. We don't know exactly where the things will pan out. But that is the normal difference which we see now.
Base of these products are low.
Yeah, and also the base of the product is low. That may be also one of the reasons the average will not be more than 2%.
So if we do a like-to-like comparison, say for a John or Macroman, so what would be the like-to-like price hikes in all after the 3 rounds of hikes on a YOY basis?
Most of the products we are seeing a rise of 7 to 9% in the 3 jump which we have, where the raw material also has a similar cost increase, and that's why the impact is nullified in that sense.
Sure. Thanks. That's it from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Jaswani from Stallion Asset. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, sir. My question is about the confidence that you've shown in 15-20% growth. What has been changing? Because when I look at the last 5-6 years, assuming from in 2015 your sales were 973 crores. In FY20 your sales were 975 crores, broadly near 0% growth. This year, of course, you've grown well. My first question is, sir, what gives you confidence that you can grow 15-20%? Because the competitors are also growing at decent rates. What is changing in the sector per se?
I think that, as I said, market we are expecting to grow at 10%. And our 6 strategy, which I talked about last time and again, this 6 strategy has a huge opportunity to grow. Whether it is expansion of the weak markets, where the opportunity is huge, whether it is a thermal wear, where we are getting new product launch, whether it is a women's segment, we are still a very early stage where we should be. Whether it is export number, we are very early, we are still not even penetrate, even 5% of the market. Or with the modern trade, where we see a significant opportunity on e-commerce as well as on the EBOs. And the last, which is the most significant for us, is the premium segment. So this 6 strategy, which we kicked off about 14-15 months back, we are in very early stage of executing those strategies. We will be executing very aggressively as we go forward, and that gives us confidence why we should be growing what we are talking.
So you've spent about 1,000 crores this decade on advertisement. Now that is more than the profits what you have made in last 1 decade. Just understanding, will that, and yet we didn't grow that fast. Do you how much more? Is it spending on advertisement that will get you that extra growth, or is the market growing? I'm just trying to understand the secularity of the growth of 15% growth, and how long can we sustain this 15% kind of growth, sir?
So some of the things are not necessarily linked to your branding or marketing spend, though we will be spending this year back to normal of 6 to 7% of our branding spend. But some of the areas where we talked about geographical and all, it's about building the right team, building the right distributor. We have branding in place, but we need to build the right team and right distributor network. Again, on the thermal, it's more about new product launch, which we will be doing along with what we have. So it's not just branding which you can link to growth. Yes, branding will be an essential part, and we will be doing not just a traditional marketing, but also focusing a lot on a digital marketing. So I think it's a mix of both in terms of effort on the product, effort on the market, and effort on the branding, and that will yield the result. So I don't think we can correlate directly just on branding on the numbers.
So just my last one question. Where would you say that your vision is to see Lux in, let's say, 2025, 4 years from today? Erupa in 2025, 4 years from today.
We talked about, we are seeing a CAGR going forward 15 to 20% on an average. And that is what we are driving ourselves. Though the management want more, but I think 15 to 20% which we should be growing, and there is a good strategy in place to grow those numbers.
I wish you all the luck, sir. Thank you so much. Hello?
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dipen Seth from Crystal Investment. Please go ahead.
Hi, and thanks for the opportunity. You've alluded to a lot of strategic changes which are now beginning to bear fruit, and we've seen a blowout 35% growth over last year in terms of revenue. Of course, it came on a softer base, which was impacted by COVID. This is fine. My question here is that gross margins have not changed, right? They are unchanged around 35%. So I don't see much impact of any product mix-led change in enriching the sales mix. Maybe it was made up through raw material increases or something. In fact, the big reason why EBITDA has jumped by 126% over the year is just that you have drastically managed to cut down this other head called other expenses. And I don't have the breakup of these expenses, which have come down from 164 to 149 crores. Interestingly, in the last quarter, they jumped up from 35 to 54 crores year-on-year. So can you explain what part of this is changing? What are the levers you're pulling in other expenses? To me, it looks like more of operating leverage and not any big change in product or sales mix, but I could be wrong. Can you explain this other expenses?
So you're right. In last year, one of the things for the gross margin has not impacted because there was some lag in terms of the price hike and the cost of the material. And that, otherwise, we should have got 1% extra actually on gross margin, which has not gone in. This year, we have projected right now improvement on 0.4 to 0.5% on a gross margin basis. But we are putting more effort in terms of efficiency to see whether this 4.4 can it become 1%, which will help us in terms of EBITDA margin. Your question, EBITDA, some of the stuff which we have done, I think some of the stuff like marketing, branding, which talked about 4.1%, it will go back to 6% plus. We're planning to spend 85 crore plus this year. But at the same time, the volume ramp up will help some part of in terms of operating leverage. Overall, as I said, we will have earlier 19.6. We will have a EBITDA drop to 1.5% because of the price increase or the cost increase which will happen, which has not happened last year. So we have whatever number we are talking here has been taken into consideration. What costs will go up, and that is what it will give us 1.5% lower, and it will be our 18% plus EBITDA margin against 19.6. But if we can grow at a faster pace, then that further will enhance the EBITDA margin.
Okay, so some of this will wear off as your marketing expenses come back. You cut them down drastically this year. And then it will go up a little bit because of operating leverage as we continue to grow at maybe 15-20% as you are.
Absolutely, it's a mix of both. So the cost will go up, but the same way our revenue will go up. So that operating leverage will be there. But in spite of that, there may be, as I said, from 19.6, we look for 18% plus. So there will be drop because there will be increase in employee cost, there will be increase in some of the marketing costs, because we are looking long-term this growth path and we are investing on the right path, and that's required.
Okay. I don't want to stretch the point, sir, but I'll just follow up a little bit on this. So outside of the cut in marketing costs, was there any other big contribution to this big crack in other expenses from 164 to 149 crores? Any other lever which may again come back, just like marketing expenses, or which you permanently solved? Either way.
We don't see any big increase in any other expenditure, except, as I said, marketing will come back, employee cost will go up, and that has already baked in.
Super. All the best. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Mehta from MET Live. Please go ahead. Mr. Deepak Mehta, you may go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. I hope everyone is doing well at your company. So my question is around the market shift from unorganized to organized. So what is the trend, and do you see this trend to continue? And what will be the impact on, of price hike in the price sensitive categories such as economy and economic innovations and all?
Can you repeat the question? I can't understand.
So my question is around what going forward, what you see in the trend from unorganized players to organized players. And second, to the same point, what will be the impact of price increase in the products in the price sensitive categories which are economical?
So price increase has been taken in, as I said, Jan, February, and we are seeing a good jump on revenue in March. So that has been already baked in, and there is a good response. We don't see a big challenge in March when we've seen the numbers. Having said that, as things are opening up, we will see, but we don't see a significant challenge on the price rise, because that has been accepted. Everybody is aware the price has been up, and most of the company has done that. As far as segment is concerned, I think definitely we are going to see what we have predicted, 15 to 20%, where we are on the value segment, we are predicting just a 14% to 16%. So there will be a 1 or 2% drop in terms of value. In the same extent, we will be seeing a jump on premium and mid segment.
Okay, and going forward as lockdown is, so do you see that this shift of market share from unorganized to organized share to continue in this year or going forward?
So this is we are seeing for last 3-4 years, but the progress is very slow, I will say. It is not that it is moving into a very fast pace, because there will be always unorganized market, which is continue to be dominating in some of the rural markets. But having said that, definitely there will be movement into organized to organized. Brand loyalty, that's why we're going to play a big role, and that is where the spend on the advertisement, where we are increasing significantly this year, will be helping.
And my last, the increase in raw material prices might help to shift this unorganized to organized market. So there are a lot of fluctuation in the raw material prices, and availability is a challenge. So that might help this process also.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And my last question is around as you know, our company will be generating good cash flow. So are you planning for any inorganic growth or expanding into new categories, such as, if you see in India, there is no player in the infant category for innerwear?
I have answered this in my earlier, I think the similar question has been asked. We always look for opportunity which fit to our requirement, and we look for that type of opportunity always.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saurabh Dinoria from Smith. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, there has been a significant reduction of debt in the current fiscal, and with strong outlook for FY22, you have also alluded that you are looking for some inorganic opportunities. But if we are not able to do some acquisition possibly in FY22, do you want to increase the dividend payouts?
Yeah, we might do that. We have already done from 3 to 5 rupees this year, and further we will probably consider that as well.
Okay. And do we have a dividend policy in place?
Yeah, we do like 300% of the face value every year. So this year we have done 500%. So 20 to 40% is what we usually do.
And in terms of percentage of profit, if you have
20%.
any? 20%.
20 to 40. 20 to 40%.
20 to 40%. And the acquisition which you are talking about will be in the related space only?
As I said, we always look for a good option on opportunity on acquisition, which is a continuous effort from our side. As long as it fits to our strategy, we will go after that. At this point of time, we are looking into various opportunities, but nothing finalized.
So anything which complement our distribution network.
Absolutely.
So where we have a dealer network of 12 dealers pan India, so anything what complements that, we are eager to consider that.
Okay. And sir, as per our discussion and channel checks with some of the other players in the industry, what we have understood is that this year, given the pandemic situation, unorganized players have faced some challenge in terms of their production capacity. Once things normalizes, do you think again unorganized players are coming back into the market, which might basically lead to some kind of loss of momentum, which we have witnessed in the last 6 months?
As I said, it will be a slow process in terms of unorganized to organized, which we have seen. It is a buzzword for a long time now, whether it is a GST implementation, we talked about that time, but the progress is slow. As I said, rural is still going to be ruled some of the market by this unorganized market, but the progress is happening towards organized because people are more and more looking towards brand, and people are, as the more and more money is happening or money is spending, power is increased in the rural market, we'll see people moving towards brand.
Okay. And sir, anything you want to talk about regarding increase in management bandwidth, which we have done over the last year or so?
We have more and more professionalizing the company with a professional coming up. Me on board now 2.5 years. We have a new IT head. We have a new sales head very soon. We have export head. So we have a significant team addition which has happened in last 1.5 years. We'll continue to add more resources as and when required, whether on some of the players like modern trades or for that matter within the export. So there will be continuous effort to make this organization more and more moving towards professional setup.
That's very good to know, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajshekhar Iyer from Simple. Please go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Congratulations on a good set of numbers. I just wanted to understand your investment on the IT part. What have you done? Is your now future predictability of the demand will be good, and so your procurement of raw material will be better? I just wanted to understand light better on this.
We have one of the best SAP system in place in the organization. We have now spending on AFS, which is the advanced, apparel system, which is one of the top fashion systems, which is one of the top notch or the latest version. And we're spending a lot of money on IT to make sure that we have optimized our best of the resources. And that's something is getting implemented this year on top of SAP. We will be actually, as a company, our focus is to move more and more automated process, whether it is on purchase or demand generation or connecting the sales team. I think that's something which we are doing right now with the spend happening across all segments. Yeah.
Okay. And then I also see on your presentation that you are changing your distribution model from the, is that being implemented or under implementation?
That's something more to do with some of the premium segment where they look for and will test the market. But at this point of time, we will be moving more and more through distributor, which is our traditional way. As and when we have more and more EBO, which is we are directly connecting with consumers, really it gives two benefits to us. One, we get immediate understanding of the market with a direct consumer touch, and also it impacts our more loyal customer base. Having said that, we will test new models always, and that's something effort what we are doing right now.
Okay, sir. And then I hope with all the discussions, whatever I've heard, I'm sure that your EBITDA margin and the PAT margins are sustainable and can be continued. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The EBITDA margins and the PAT margins, whatever you have shown this quarter, are sustainable and can be continued.
As I said earlier, we have on a yearly basis 19.6%. We are expecting EBITDA margin to be 18% plus. On absolute number, we will be growing on EBITDA and PAT both.
Thank you so much, sir. That's all from my side. All the best.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference back to the management for closing comments.
Again, thank you for attending this call, and we look forward to connecting more and more with you and want to give you more and more information on what we are doing. And again, thank you and have a safe time. Take care. And I also want you to, in case of any, data which is required or anything, you can contact Mr. Devan Dhruva from Orient Capital, our investor relations partner, and who is organizing the call too.
Thank you. On behalf of Rupa and Company Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you all for joining. You may now disconnect your line.
Thank you. Thank you, friends.